Hey everyone, it's Kevin from Real Boring Flips, and I just had one sold today, and I wanted to just go through this to show you just how I do my packing, my process that I've kind of developed as a method to move this stuff along. So I'll do that quickly here. The item that I sold was it's a sealed vintage software pack. It's some kind of database, Alpha 4 database, and this is vintage. This is IBM XT/AT era, and then I also had a book that went along with it. Actually, yeah, it's a different book, but I included it with the listing. So this sold for $29.88 plus shipping, and this came from an estate sale where I bought a lot of boxes of vintage software, and a lot of it ended up being sealed, and so I've sold several of these various software packs. I think I even got a sealed Windows 3.1 and DOS pack that sold for quite a bit of money. So if you're out looking at stuff and you see some old vintage software like that era and it's sealed, and that's desirable. I think that Windows pack sold for about $130 plus shipping, and that I think went international. So for this one, the way I do this is I pull my items. So this came out of bin DD. My SKU field on my listing shows me the bin. So I pulled that out of the bin, bring it over here, and then I start looking for boxes that might fit this. In some cases, I have if I'm going to use an Amazon box, I have those in a database, so I can just pull that database up and look for the sizes that I need, and then go find the actual box number, and they're ordered in my storage area. My storage here in the apartment, sorry. In this case, I did find a box, not an Amazon box, but this box was, originally it was about that tall. And so I've resized it. I didn't show you that, but I'll tell you how I did that. So we'll go ahead and put these items in the box. And so it's a little wider. The box is a little wider, and for that little book in there, it's a little longer than what this box gives. So some of the stuff I do keep is just scraps of cardboard. So I had a scrap piece of cardboard, and this will fit in here nicely. And so I still have a tiny little bit there, and I don't want this book sliding back and forth. So I had a couple more scraps that I actually cut off of this box. So we'll just slide those down in. I folded them and slid them down in there. So that'll keep that from going crazy. The last thing you do for a box that's like this, where it's too long, is basically I just go in with a straight edge and I cut these corners to the top of the package, and then once they're all cut, you can some of these are easier than others. Sometimes I'll use like a straight edge and fold them back against a straight edge. In this case, it was easy enough to just push these in and get a nice edge to the box, and then trim off the excess flap so these flaps meet in the middle. There's no overlap. And then same thing on the sides. Fold these over and then cut them so that they meet in the middle. And sometimes I'll even, just to make this box a little better, I'll fold the flaps back a few times, get an actual fold there that's more similar to what a factory box would look like. But now I can go ahead and seal this up. But before I do that, I'm going to be doing my postage. And one of the things that I do is I get, obviously I weighed this item. I'll show you that too. So we'll put this on the scale, let it clear, and unfortunately, this is kind of a bummer for this one, it's 7.7 pounds. So just a hair over 7 pounds. Nothing I can really do about it. It's going to be a hair over 7 pounds, almost no matter what I do. So I usually mark the weight inside. So I wrote 8 there. And then I will have a ruler built in. Actually, I can show you that. have a ruler built into the edge of my little table here. So I'll line this up and I can identify the size for each dimension. And in this case, I enter in 8 pounds. I have a 10-inch, which it's close to 9, but I go to the next inch. So 10 by 9 by 6 is what I put in. And actually that was pretty close. Outside of the weight being off, I think I'd estimated 6 pounds. I must not have weighed this. The dimensions I had put in here with the listing were very close, so that was good. Now, weirdly, like, you're not supposed to ship stuff like computer software with media mail, but if you read the regulations for media mail, it can be a book, a bound book of so many pages, and stuff that came with it. So in this case, there is a book inside the actual software package itself, and then the other item is a book. So legally, I could ship this media mail, but in this case, the buyer actually paid for USPS Ground Advantage. So I'm not going to ship it media mail when they actually paid for a higher level of service. This happens quite a bit where you're shipping items and because I always offer several options. If someone wants to use UPS or FedEx or USPS, I give several options in my listings. And where that plays a part is when, let's say they paid for FedEx, but I'm going to UPS today, and I might not go to FedEx today. I might have to wait till Monday if today was a Friday. I'll ship that UPS. Unless they specifically said, hey, I need this shipped FedEx. And I have had that happen where people have said, hey, I really want this to go FedEx. I don't like my local UPS or post office delivery. So I try to be conscious of that. But in the end, eBay doesn't require sellers to ship by whatever method is paid for. Now, you certainly don't want to get into a position where someone's paying for a priority service and you're shipping, economy service that takes 2 weeks. Would never do that. But I also do have 2 business day shipping. So this sold yesterday. I actually have 2 more days to ship this, but I'm shipping it today. So as long as I'm shipping it and it's going to get there by the time it would have gotten there if I shipped on my 2nd business day, then I'm comfortable with doing that, just because I'm planning my routes. I'm going to take this to the post office, so that's that direction. If I was going the other direction, I might ship this UPS or FedEx. That's just how I do that. So basically, once you have because all my listings pretty much are all calculated shipping paid for by the buyer. Weigh it, size it, put that information in, pick the service that I'm going to use, and in this case, I'm going to insure this. It is going I'm in the state of Washington, it's going to Wisconsin, and it's a little heavier, and so sometimes I like to, depending on the value of the item, I'll add insurance if it's going by Ground Advantage, which is not insured by default. It's $1.70, I think, for this item to insure. Let me see. Yeah, $1.70 to use ship cover insurance. Now, ship cover is different than USPS insurance. You have to deal with ship cover if you have an insurance claim. And I've only ever had to do that once, and I didn't get my claim wasn't resolved in my favor, simply because the post office ultimately did deliver the item. That was a big issue, because it was an item that went to Guam. It had to go through customs. It took forever. The buyer finally put in a lost package claim through eBay, which I then had to respond to, and the day after I had to respond to it by, it was delivered. So I think I kind of got scammed on that. Even though I tried to get coverage through ship cover, I couldn't. So anyway, so $1.70 will add. Now, because of my discounts, and this has kind of been an issue lately, I think a new issue for sellers, is whether or not my shipping discounts get applied to my buyers. I think they do for some, because I think whenever I put in for UPS, even though I get a nice discount, my buyers pay that same rate. This one is USPS Ground Advantage, and it says I save 53%. So they paid $22.30. It's going to cost me $12.71 to ship for the postage. Now, in the past, I used to automatically refund the difference, and then one time I made a mistake and I automatically refunded the entire purchase by mistake. And so I thought, you know what, because I allow offers, I will allow people to decide for themselves if the shipping is too high. And so in this case, this buyer decided it wasn't too high to pay for this item. So that's how I manage that. So basically, we just basically click on here, hit purchase shipping label, it prints out, and then because as I've talked before, I reuse packaging. Even this is a brown box. There's no other, it's not an Amazon box. There's nothing else on it. It did have a shipping label here, and because I have a couple of different sources for packing material, I always make sure to remove or obliterate any previous names on here, especially if it's not one that came to my house, but one came to someone else. I don't want their name attached to my packaging in any way. So remove that label. I'll put my label right here. And then I also, as part of my habit, is I print out the packing slip, and that's my last chance to confirm I'm shipping the correct item to the correct person. Where I'm at, I'm standing here at my shipping station. I have an older iMac that I use just for shipping, and my label printer here. So I do all my shipping from here, and because of the way the computer works, I could print out a packing slip to my printer, to one of these laser printers, but I have to switch printers just to do that. So I don't even do that here anymore. I always just print my packing slips from my desk, where my main computer is, just so I don't have to switch back and forth printers. So I'll print that out, and I will get the shipping label printed, get the packing slip printed, and then we'll usually sign, just sign a thank you, just do any confirmation I need to do as far as, did I get the right item? Did I get the right number of, is the quantity right if it was a multi-quantity item? In some cases, I might have several items that are very similar, and so I just check to make sure I'm actually getting the correct one, even down to the correct serial number. In some cases, I have this very same thing, just different ones. So I use that packing slip for all those reasons, just to give myself that extra level of comfort that I'm shipping the right item to the right customer. That's super embarrassing when you do that wrong. So it's one of my little last second quick ways to confirm I'm doing things correctly. And it might sound like that's a lot of work, but as a method, it's very easy to follow and to maintain. And like I said before, my feedback tells me that my packing is one of the things my customers like the most. So I try to do that every time. So I'm going to get this printed out, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how I finished this up. So come back in a minute here. We're back. We're over at my desk now, so we'll go ahead and print the label out over here, just so I can show you on screen capture how to do this. So I had weighed the item, it's 8 pounds, and I had measured it. Now this is what I had put in my listing, so 10 by 8 by 5. It's actually 10 by 9 by just under 5, so 5 is fine. So by doing that, by getting close, for calculated shipping, your buyer is going to be paying for what they got shipped. So even though I was short on weight, in this case, the buyer actually paid $22.30, and which is that's just what the calculator spits out. I don't have, I do have a small fee that I tack on just to pay for my handling, but very small. In a lot of cases, my shipping is short, so it evens out. If this was super crazy, because I am going to add insurance, so it won't be as bad. But if this was super crazy, sometimes I'll reach out to the buyer and say, hey, I can kick back some money here. Occasionally, for whatever reason, the calculator goes nuts. And like I said, whether or not you give your discount to your buyer, that's up to you. I do a different method. I allow offers. That way they can, no matter what the calculator is telling them, they know what their total cost is going to be, and they can offer that on their own desire. So I am going to add insurance to this. It's a $30 item, heavier item, going to Wisconsin from the state of Washington. So I got to zoom down here. I'm trying to keep my buyer's name and information from being visible, but so I add the $1.70. Now, if you wanted, you could add, let's see if it even allows me to do a different insurance. Maybe not. Maybe you can only do ship cover now. You used to be able to pick USPS insurance, but I don't even see that option now. So it's $1.70 added on. So when I come back up, now my total down here is $11.65 for that label. So when I select yes, purchase label, it'll actually charge. The way I've got it routed is it will charge my PayPal account, which is where my business credit card resides. So I get the extra Benny, the extra 1.5% cash back on my credit card. That's a thing, one thing that, I kind of learned as I was going along is there's plenty of ways to take advantage of having a small business. And one of them is using an actual business credit card. I use the Capital One Sparks, so it gives me 1.5% on all purchases. So I use that, for all of my eBay charges. I try to use that anytime I buy anything for like any stuff to resell, or like I pay for premium YouTube just so I can watch things without ads. I pay for that. I pay for my mileage tracker. Pay for any of my business expenses go on that credit card, no matter what kind of expense it is. So I take advantage of that. So my shipping all routes through PayPal, then to that credit card. And so as I ship this, I have my sound off on my phone, but you would hear the chime as this payment goes through. So once it accepts, and once it accepts, my label should pop up here. If it doesn't, I can just hit print label, but usually it just pops up automatically. We'll just do it this way. Oh, there's the beep. Okay, I'm back. I got the label printed and I got my packing slip printed. I signed this with a thank you. Really, I did my confirmation, but I already knew this one. So we'll go ahead and slide this in, and we'll tape it up, and we'll be ready to go into the bin for outgoing mail. And another thing I do that is part of my shipping process is I'm not afraid to use extra tape. I don't want my package coming loose. I cringe when I see other resellers packing items and it's like, here's a box, one piece of tape out the door. I've gotten packages in the mail with the tape all torn off, the box half open. I don't want that for my buyers. So tape really is cheap. A little bit extra tape isn't going to kill things. And then in addition, you know, I get these, you know, I buy my labels from Amazon. I don't know where other people buy their thermal labels, but I noticed that, and maybe I'm buying cheap ones, or my cheap label printer is just too cheap, but I don't have a Rollo or anything expensive. I have a Giosi, which apparently has no encryption credentials anymore, according to that message. So I put my label on, and I put a layer of tape over it. I notice, like, sometimes when these get wet, sometimes the ink gets illegible, the barcode becomes illegible. Sometimes even these things will peel up. I've gotten packages delivered where the label is peeling off, and so I don't want that. So if I'm actually shipping a very expensive item, I'll print an extra label and put it inside the box, because, you know, the shipper, if something happened and this box was damaged, I want them to have something in the box that says this is where it was supposed to go, so that it can still be delivered. So just a few extra things. Doesn't cost you a lot of money. It might cost you a little extra time, but it's worth it if you do have an issue. So I've got the item here packed, sealed, label on, and this will go into my outgoing mailbox, and depending on whether I go today or tomorrow, this one will get dropped off at the post office and be on its way to the new buyer. So thanks again for joining me. Thank you for feedback. I always request feedback, even negative feedback, just to help me with these videos. I want to improve them, want to make them more useful for you. So if you haven't, please subscribe. If you like this video, please like it. And as I always say, if you dislike the video, please just give me some feedback in a comment what you disliked, and that will help me improve things. If at all possible, please don't dislike the video. It just makes it very much harder for videos to get seen when they have dislikes, especially new channels. So thank you again, and join me next time.